So example 3. So this is going to be our last example for today. And I want you to notice in this example, okay, so our x's line up, our y's line up, our constants line up. But notice how I can't just add together my two functions because I don't have a variable that's opposite. I have a negative 2x and a 7x, and I have a 15y and a negative 5y. So what happens when you don't have opposite terms? So what you have to do is you have to make a decision, and you have to decide which variable is easiest to eliminate. Well, I'm looking, and in the other examples, I could have distributed through a -1 to make them opposites. Well, here I notice, okay, maybe my y's. You see, I have a 15y and a negative 5y. And so all I need to do is to make that negative 5 into a 15. So how are we going to do that? Well, we have to distribute through something to make that into a 15. So what I like to do is I like to go off to my side. I need to make a negative 5 into a 15. 15 is already a 15. So what we want to find is what we call a least common multiple. So a least common multiple, what does that mean? The smallest number that 15 and 5 go into. Well, 15. So 15 is my least common multiple. So what do I have to do to 15 to make it a 15? Well, really nothing. The only thing I have to do is times it by 1. Well, if I times it by 1, that's not going to change anything. But what do I have to do to the 5 to make it a 15? Okay, so for that one, I do have to do a little bit of work. I've got to times it by a 3. 5 times 3 is 15. So how am I going to make this how am I going to make the negative 5y a 15y? I'm going to multiply by 3. But if I change it by 3, I'm changing my recipe. We've talked a lot about recipes, okay? So this whole thing is a recipe. What I do to one, I have to do the other. If I want to make this 3 times bigger, if I want to feed more than what the recipe calls for, I have to triple all of those ingredients. So I need to distribute through a 3 to all 3 of those terms. So look at our steps. Step 1 says multiply one equation to eliminate one variable. So our first equation is not going to change. It's going to stay the same. Negative 2x plus 15y is equal to negative 32. And our second equation, we are going to distribute through the 3. So 3 times 7 is 21x. 3 times negative 5y is negative 15y. And then 3 times 17 is 51. So now we have opposite variables. We're going to add together, so the y's are going to eliminate. So negative 2x and 21x adds to 19x. Negative 32 and 51 adds to 19. No, hey, I know what x is. So if I divide both sides by 19, x has a value of 1. And then again, the rest is repetitive from here. So now we know what x is. Now we're going to solve, we're going to use the variable we know, to find the other variable y. So we're going to sub back in. So now find y. So I'm going to sub in my 1 into one of the equations. It doesn't matter which one I choose, top one or the bottom one. So I'm going to replace my y with a value of 1. So let's use the second one. 7x minus 5y is equal to 17. I'm going to sub in the 1 into the x. Seven times 1 is 7. 7 minus 5y is equal to 17. Subtract the 7 from the 17. Negative 5y is equal to 10, and y is equal to negative 2. So now I know that the point that these two have in common, their common solution is 1, negative 2. Okay, so hope things are going well for everybody. There is an equation here that you can try if you'd like. This is the end of day one's lesson, solving by elimination. You have an assessment on SchoolNet that you are now going to complete. It's a matching assessment, so you're going to be using elimination to solve the equations, and you're going to be matching the solutions. Guys, remember, I'm doing Google Meet every day, so if you need anything, make sure you're checking those meeting times. I'm more than happy to answer questions.